everyone, this is Naomi and today I'll be reviewing a film called The Guilty, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, directed by Antoine Fuqua, that I saw at Toronto International Film Festival. My film reviews are in 4 parts. Part 1, warnings, Part 2, Asian count, Part 3, review without spoilers, and Part 4, review with spoilers. I always get that mixed up. I always get confused. Moving on to Part 1, warnings. This film contains the following: mentions of death, police brutality, alcohol and drug consumption, and suicides, and foul language. Moving on to Part 2, Asian count. The reason that I do this is because I was born and raised in Japan and I just want to focus on Asian representation, especially in North America and Europe, so I do this. And according to IMDb, this film has 1 Asian cast, but honestly, it's a single location film. The whole cast list is relatively short, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna go and stab Antoine Fuqua. I'm not gonna do that. You good? Moving on to Part 3, review without spoilers. I'm so confused. Let's begin with the synopsis. So Joe Baylor, portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal, is a demoted police officer who now works at an emergency dispatch call center, and during one particular shift he gets a call from a woman, Emily, claiming that she's being abducted. And while trying to rescue her, Joe faces the reality and the past that he has been avoiding. So the storyline, the plot line, are basically the same as the original film made in 2018 in Denmark. The title is the same, The Guilty. And I have to say the original is better. Am I surprised? Not really. I was kind of expecting it, but it kind of pains me to say it. This film is literally, actually, and figuratively a North American version of the original. If you haven't seen the original and are interested in the remake, I actually suggest you to start with the remake and then go back to the original. Is that crazy? But I think with that, it makes sense and the original's brilliance is enhanced. That's a bit shady to say, but it is what it is. So Joe, like Asger in the original, is an asshole, but a lot more of one than the original. I'm not even talking about like, does he have the authority or jurisdiction to do whatever he's doing kind of assholeness. Like as a person, he's a jerk, a big one. He's that like stereotypical, you know, demoted police officer who thinks that his new gig as a call dispatcher is a bull, but doesn't really talk to therapists or psychiatrists because he just doesn't know how to open up to people, and he's just, you know, bottling up all the emotions. Hello, toxic masculinity. What's up? What's good? What pissed me off the most is actually he calls his wife at 2 a.m. and demands her to wake up their daughter so that he could say goodnight to her. Like, hello. Okay, think of your daughter's welfare, okay? Stop being so self-goddamn centered. Yeah, so Joe's unlikable. Very unlikable. But stepping back to viewing the film as itself, it's a lot noisier than the original. It is understandable given the fact that it is set at an emergency dispatch center in LA while this wildfire is going on. So obviously, you know, there's news happening, people answering calls and whatever. So I get why it's loud. And it actually works in a way to build frustration and reality, and also to feel as frustrated as Joe. So it works in that sense. But again, as a whole movie, throughout the film, it was a bit too noisy for me. Okay, I feel like I'm just trashing the remake because I like the original better. Like, that's not the case. Despite being Americanized or North Americanized, hi, Canada exists too, okay? It's still concise and suspenseful. Antoine Fuqua did a good job. This is the same with the original movie, but this movie is set in a single location. It does not move, it does not go out. But it doesn't feel claustrophobic, again, thanks to Fuqua's directing. Also, acting is great. Jake Gyllenhaal is definitely one of the greatest actors alive, along with my boo Oscar Isaac, and he does not disappoint. Honestly, I think this remake is a bit too premature. I wish it happened in a decade or 2 so that we would have new advanced different technologies which will change the dynamics of the film drastically. This film is simply an American, North American version of the original, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. So that's my review without spoilers, and from this point I'll be spoiling everything, including the original. So if you don't want that, subscribe, like, leave a comment or two, and bounce, okay? Y'all good? Y'all want to be spoiled? Y'all want to know everything? Okay, here we go. Part 4, review with spoilers. So Emily, the kidnapped woman, has 2 kids and is abducted by the baby daddy Henry. So Joe sends police officers to the house of Emily and the kids and finds out that the youngest son, Oliver's stomach has been cut open. They all think that Henry did it, but it's actually Emily, the mom, who's been struggling with her mental illness, who hurt her son. So actually Henry took her to take her to a mental health hospital. Before figuring this out, Joe advises Emily to use force if necessary to get away from Henry if she has a chance. And Emily actually does that, and she escapes from Henry. And Emily realizes what she has done and now is on the verge of ending her life. In order to stop her from committing suicide, Joel tells her that he actually killed a young man, a 19-year-old man, on the job and is being tried for the crime that he has committed. With this, he's able to convince Emily not to kill herself, and in the end, Joe decides to plead guilty for the crime that he has committed. This is one of the 2 biggest differences from the original film, that Joe actually says, yo, I did it, I plead guilty. Like, the depiction, the obvious depiction is there. And I have to say that I do not like this particular change, but considering the political climate and the continuous police brutality that's been happening and plaguing us for a long time, it is necessary, and I understand that. We need to see police officers being held accountable and being punished for their wrongdoings. But obviously, you know, such heinous acts should never have happened in the, first place. So all cops are bastards, abolish the police. But still, that scene is necessary for this American remake of The Guilty, but I didn't like it. Oh, and the second biggest difference is that Oliver actually survives. I know, I should be happy that even in fiction, no child is harmed, I don't want to see kids dying or getting killed, but it's just way too many redemptions and savings in this film, and I feel like it cheapens out the film a bit too much. Basically, everyone is saved at the end of the film. I mean, I should be happy for them, but me no likey. Also, it's pretty biblical. When Emily realizes what she has done, as she was explaining why, she said that she thought snakes were in Oliver's stomach and she just wanted to help him because he was crying, blah, blah, blah. And when Joe's telling her the story how he killed the man, Emily asks him, oh, was it the snakes? So, snake seducing woman to commit sins, and then that woman's making man commit sins or whatever, or like insinuating or alluding that, the snake's out to get us. Biblical. And I'm Jewish. Religion. I mean, the movie starts with a verse from the New Testament, so, or is it the Old Testament? I don't know. I'm Jewish. I don't know anything about Christianity. So yeah, and pretty much everyone gets redemption or owns up to the sins that they've committed. So Christianity, biblical, yay. One last thing, Wildfire, I thought it will be more incorporated into plot, but it isn't. It's just a plot device, and I do not like that. Yeah, I feel like I'm being unfair knowing what the original accomplishes, but I'm just not enthusiastic about this film. It doesn't really have a space to let you think or breathe in what's really going on and get emotionally invested in characters. It's just, you're being fed, you're being given. It's not very subtle, and the original is kind of nuanced and subtle, and I really like that about the original, so I was expecting that, which is unfair, but it's just, it is a bit disappointing. It's just a simple American remake of this original film. So that's that. But yeah, I recommend this film to Jake Gyllenhaal fans. Anyone who's seen the original, you know what, if you have seen the original, you don't have to watch this American remake unless you really want to because you're a fan of the director or any of the cast member. So yeah, that's my honest opinion, and it pains me to say that because I was expecting a lot more from this film. So yeah, that is my review of The Guilty. I'll be reviewing more films from TIFF and Toronto Japanese Film Festival and even movies that I saw in theaters. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, like, leave a comment or two, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Naomi.pod. Come say hi, and I will see you in my next video. Okay everyone, stay safe. Bye kids!